Hello, doers, and welcome to this talk. I am Andre. I am a business analyst here at Odoo, and today we are going to see together how to manage engineering to order in Odoo. First of all, as you can see, there is QR codes right here. You can already scan it, and you can write down all the questions that you have, whether it be about the talk or about specific configurations that I might not show right during the talk. So we'll leave you 5 seconds, more or less, to scan it, and then we are going to jump into it. Okay, so first of all, what is engineering to order? Well, I think if you joined this talk, you might already know it, but basically, it's when we manage a project that necessitates custom orders and therefore a lot of design and planning. And only then we can start the production. So that's a quick way of explaining engineering to order. And now we are going to see how to manage all of this directly from the projects app in Odoo. So I hope you're ready to dive into it with me. We'll now switch to my database. And to give you a bit of context, we are working here at Speedwagon Automotive, which is a small brand who makes custom cars. So as you can guess, if we have to make custom cars, we have to do a lot of planning and designing, but also to manage our production. How can we do this directly in Odoo? Well, first of all, let's say that our customer makes a request for a custom prototype. We can go here and create a quotation for our cool customer and add the custom prototype design right here. We can then confirm our order, and it's totally magic. We now have two buttons right here, a project button and a task button, as well as the track of the recorded timesheets. Let's open the project button. What can we see? We can see that we are on the settings of our project. We can allocate some time, for example, 150 hours. And most importantly, we can see right here in the analytic tab that it is linked to its own project. So it might sound redundant, but basically now the projects also act as analytic plans. And that's what we're going to see today. Let's go directly to the tasks of our project. As you can see, we have a lot of tasks right here. Some tasks are about contacting vendors, designing, or managing our order. Well, some of you might have noticed, either on this screen or thanks to the keynotes of Fabien, but there is a new button right here. This is the top bar. And by the way, there will be another talk about the top bar this afternoon, so feel free to watch that one as well. I just checked here the top bar, and it opened the top bar, of course. If I click again on this, what do I have? I have a scrolling menu with a lot of models in Odoo that can now, since version 18, be linked to our project. And the first thing that we want to see right here is the dashboard. If I click on my dashboard right here, I can see my profitability. Of course, for now, it's quite empty because we didn't start doing anything yet. But it's also from this view that we can do our project reports. And I know not a lot of people do this, but I always like to create a project report right from the start of our project to remember exactly what was said and what was done. So let's just create our first project report right here. How is it going? We just started. We are on fire. Yoo-hoo. And we can just save this, go back to our dashboard, and as you can see, we now have our first project report right here, which tells us that there was, of course, 0% of progress, 0 tasks done, 0 hours, and so on. And this can be useful later on when we have big projects to follow simply the advance of all our projects and of the tasks and milestones. But enough chit-chat with this, and let's go back to our tasks. We can do it by going through the breadcrumbs or just by clicking here on the tasks. So the first step in our company is always to design the body of the car. And in order to do that, we actually hired here an amazing designer. This amazing designer will work on the designing of the body of the car. And he will work pretty hard on making the best car that he can. Let's say that he worked 20 hours. We can save this, and what do you think will happen if we go back to our dashboard to check the profitability of our project? As you can see, as soon as we logged the timesheets, it went and took the hourly cost of our employee and multiplied it, of course, by the number of hours, and so now we can see the costs of our timesheets. Of course, if someone else was to log some time, for example, my handsome self, I also like to design, maybe not as well as the handsome designer, but still, and maybe it took me only 10 hours to design the chassis of our car. If I go back to my tasks right here and to our dashboard of profitability, we can see, of course, that the timesheets here in the costs have changed. And if I click on it, I can have the details. And if I want even more details, for example, the costs of every single employee, I can go here to the pivot view and I can see the total cost per employee. And then, of course, if I feel like it, I could also add some filters, but for now, I don't have a need for that. Great. So we designed our car, but where is it? Because I would like to have information on the car that I just designed. Maybe, only maybe, thanks to the new top bar, I can now create a bill of material directly from my project. This will allow me to track way more easily than before the design and the bills of material that are specific for certain clients. So let's create our new bill of material, and let's say that this client has a specific taste and he wants his car to be called the Silver Chariot. We can add some components like a body, a chassis that we just designed, but most importantly, our V20 super secret engine. We are also going to add a small operation to our bill of material. We are going to add an assembly operation on our work center. But since we just started, we don't have any work center. Let's just create work center 1, which we will use to assemble simply our cars. We will create and edit it, and as you can see right here, we can add a cost per hour to our work center. Let's say that this work center costs 300 euros per hour to run, and that it also costs 25 euros per hour per employee who runs the work center. Let's just save and close this. The default duration will be 60 minutes. That's perfect. And now, basically, we have created our bill of material for our product. Great. Now, what should we do? Maybe we should contact the client and ask him if he likes the car. So let's pretend we did that, and he actually loved the design, and he is ready to buy the real car, the real prototype, the real thing. Well, we can just go back to our sales order, which we can also find here in our top bar. We go back to our sales order, and we have multiple choices. We could either create a new sale order that will be linked to our project, or we could just modify this one and add our product. Here at Speedwagon Automotives, we really like to handle every order for a single client as if it was only one order. So we are just going to add our car right here. But before that, since I want to make sure that my client is really interested, I'm still going to invoice him the full amount of the custom prototype design. I will just create right here an invoice, create a draft, and confirm it. And now, before adding my product, right here, my car, I will go back to my project, always through the breadcrumbs, and go back on my dashboard of profitability. what do we see? We can see that the 50,000 euros of our timesheets fixed price, which is basically the service of the prototype design that we sold, have already been invoiced. So as soon as I do something, it will be reflected directly in our dashboard of profitability. But as we were saying, we now want to add the real car to our order. So let's just check here. Silver Chariot. We will just add it, and we can go back to our project. Great. Once again, I will bring you back to our dashboard of profitability. That's totally magic. A lot of stuff has happened. Now we have a materials line right here in the profitability. This is, of course, because we just sold a car, which is materials. And on top of that, you can also see that thanks to some small automatizations in the reordering rules, we also have a manufacturing order that was created automatically. I can either open my manufacturing order from here, or, you guessed it, go to my top bar, scroll down here to the manufacturing orders, add it to my top bar, and boom, I have access to my manufacturing order. But what can we do with this? I see that the components are not available. That's a bit annoying. Let's just check the availability again. They are not there. What could I do? Maybe I could go to my inventory, to the operations, and then to the replenishment menu right here. As you can see, we have a need for 3 components that we use in our bill of materials. So we are just going to check the 3 products. As you can see, they have a manufacturing route, which will trigger some interesting actions. Now we are going to order our 3 products that we still need to manufacture. And what happens? It's amazing. Now we have a lot of components. We have more need for more materials in our replenishment. How come? This is just because we chose to order products that we need to manufacture, and therefore we created a need for their components. So here I can see that my doors also need to be manufactured, so I will also order right here in order to have all my components. And now that I have the list of all the components that I need to buy, I am just going to select them all right here and order them. Perfect. Now, as we can see, my replenishment menu is totally empty. We can go back here and we can go to our manufacturing app. If I open my manufacturing module and I go to the manufacturing orders, I can see now that I have a lot of manufacturing orders, but I still didn't receive my products. How come? Because when we trigger a replenishment, it generates a purchase order. And in this case, we have 2 different purchase orders because our materials come from 2 different vendors. Here, we can validate this order to Fabien and receive our products. This will update our stock, and then we can go back to the other request for quotation, confirm it, receive our products, and validate it. Great. Now I should have absolutely everything I need. So let's go back to our manufacturing app. Let's go back to the operations and the manufacturing orders. As we can see, I can now produce 4 of my manufacturing orders. And the other, why can I not do them? Well, it's simply because they require other components that are still not manufactured. For example, if I open this one of the body, we will see that we still need the left and right door that we still didn't manufacture. So let's start by manufacturing everything that we can manufacture. Actions, and mark as done. Great. Now I have all my components for my body. I will just open this order and produce it. Perfect. Now that I have this, I only have 1 manufacturing order left, which is the most important. It's the one of our famous Silver Chariot, the custom car that our customer ordered. If I open this one, now I can see that all my components are available, so I can plan it, and maybe I can go to the work orders and set the time that I spent working on it. In this case, I will do it manually, but then of course, in a real life scenario, you would just click on the start button and then it would show you the real duration right here. In this case, let's pretend we spent double the time that we were expecting to spend, and it's 120 minutes. Not a big deal. We can still produce everything and go back to our manufacturing orders menu, which is now totally empty. This is now the occasion to leave this boring app that is manufacturing and go back to the best app in Odoo, the project app. We can open now our project and check our dashboard. We can see that there is a lot of information that has appeared since last time. The most important are those two lines right here, the manufacturing orders costs and the other costs. If I open the manufacturing orders, you guessed it, it's because of the time that we spent doing our manufacturing order. Because we set a price to our work center, a cost to our work center, and it is now reflected right here on our dashboard of profitability. But what about the other line, other costs? It's like super high, 127,000 euros. What could it be? Let's open it. I missed my click. Let's open it. And now we can see that we have 3 different lines that are all linked to the same manufacturing order. If I click on it, I can see that it's actually the cost of the product that I used in my manufacturing order. So what does this mean? If I go back here to my dashboard, it means that I can track the cost of everything I use for my manufacturing orders and have its impact directly in my profitability dashboard of my projects app. This is great, but now that we are done with our car, maybe there is something left to do, like, I don't know, deliver it to the customer, or maybe invoice the rest. Well, you guessed it, we can now do almost anything from our top bar. That's why we are going to open our stock moves right here and see that there is the delivery that was generated with our sales order. If I click on it, I can validate the delivery, and now that I have delivered my product, I can go back to my sales order, click on it, and invoice the rest. Perfect. We created the draft invoice. Once again, as you see, it is linked directly to our analytic plan, which is now our project, and we can confirm. Let's go back once again to our dashboard of profitability. It's like the 10th time you see it, but you're still not done, trust me. Now we can see that everything has been invoiced correctly. And we can also see that all our costs have already been billed. Well, this is great, but actually something happened. My customer called me and he's saying that we totally forgot to send him some stuff. Actually, I think I remember what we forgot to sell him. I will just create a new delivery, which I can do either from the stock moves right here, or if I really want it to be automated and recognize immediately that it's a delivery, I can go here on from warehouse, and this will link only the outgoing deliveries, so no receipts, in the contrary of the stock moves. I will then create a new one. If I go on the additional info, I can see that it is linked to my project, and I will ship to him the seat covers that we forgot to send him. Let's add 2 of them and validate our delivery. Perfect. So that's it. Interesting, but how does it reflect in the dashboard? Well, you guessed it, everything is tracked. We can now open again the other cost menu and see that here there is a brand new line of an amount of 400 euros. Why is that? If you open it, we have the detail that those 400 euros are actually the cost of moving our 2 seat covers, which have each a value of 200 euros. So this is great because before version 18, we were not able to track the costs of our deliveries. But right now, as soon as I deliver a product to my customer, I can see exactly how much it cost me and how it impacts the profitability of my project. So that's great. But you would think that we're done at this point. Unfortunately, still not, because since we had to deliver the seat covers, it also meant that our employee had to do an extra travel. And since we're a good company, we like to expense this kind of travel. Once again, from my wonderful top bar, I can go down here, check the expenses button, open my expenses, and now I have the choice. I can either upload a new expense or create a new one. In this case, I will just upload it, Where is it? This one. Of course, I didn't buy any credits because this is my local database, but in a normal behavior, it would also automatically fill all the information of your expense. But as you can see, we still have our PDF or image right here, and we can easily add the cost of this expense, which was 95.17 euros. And this is now how the expense app works. We can create our report, which will then have to be submitted to the manager, which we will do. The manager, of course, will approve it. And once it's done, we can post the journal entry. What do you think will happen in our dashboard? Of course, as everything else now, it will be tracked. As you can see now, we have a new line right here with our expense. And once again, if I click on it, I have the detail. So you're basically done, except that once again there is a problem. We never stop having problems. What happened this time? Well, what happened is that my customer called me and he told me that actually the headlights were not functioning. This is not great because the car is totally new. So what can we do to replace the headlights? We are going to create a new task, replace headlights, move it to the field service project, plan it, of course. And now we can say that our product is still under warranty. This is a small checkbox, but it is super useful because by checking it, now every product that I will add to my intervention will be free for the customer. So I can go here and add my headlights. Of course, I will need 2 of them, so I will go back here. We can see that it added automatically the 2 headlights for a cost of €0 for our customer. And our employee here, our awesome user, also timesheeted some time. It was a quite quick fix. It only took him 2 hours. And we can now mark our intervention as done. Great. Well, what happened? If we go back once again to our project and once again to our dashboard, this is one of the last times, I swear, we can see that everything has been updated correctly. The timesheets right here, but the other costs as well. Because if I go on the other costs, I can see that I now have another line, a very expensive line for our very expensive headlights that we have to give for free to our customer. But actually, it costed us 20,000 euros, which is not great, but at least, thanks to the new dashboard and the new view of profitability, I was able to keep track of everything and notice that I was still able to make some decent profits on this project. So this was everything for the demo part, but let's go back here and quickly recap what we learned. Basically, the most important stuff that you need to remember is that there is this new top bar in the projects app that allows us to also easily create manufacturing orders or bills of materials. Of course, this simplifies a lot the link with the manufacturing app, which is now totally linked with the project and which can be used to track the costs of our manufacturing directly in our project. So including also the whole designing and planning part. And as I was just saying, the analytics are now easier than ever because everything is centralized in the project and we can now also track the costs of our stock movements. This was all for me. I hope you enjoyed the talk and whoops, we can now go to the Q&A part if you have any questions.
Thank you, André, for the talk. Very interesting. I don't see we have a lot of time left, so if you do have questions, I will just pick the one that are related to manufacturing. Is it possible to import the BOM instead of creating it manually like you did in the demonstration?
Yes, totally. It's like the same view of the normal BOMs.
Okay, cool. Is it possible to add outsourced operations in my BOM?
I would say yes, but for that, I think instead of answering this right now, because we don't have much time, it would be more interesting to go to the manufacturing expertise booth, where they will talk to you how to do the subcontracting parts.
Okay. During the demo, you did like mark is done and produce all. They're wondering if this means exactly the same thing, or are they separate buttons, and could you maybe specify what the difference is?
Sorry, what was it? Mark is done?
Mark is done and produce all.
Yeah, basically it's the same thing. It will add the final product and consume the components.
Okay. Some were also wondering if it's possible to link the purchase order and the receipt within a project, or and if so, and also within a task.
Yes, of course. I can maybe quickly show it without going to detail, but as you can see, we also have here the link to the purchase orders. So, of course, we can also add our purchase order to our project in the same way we can add sales order.
Okay, very nice. Cool tool. How is a field service task linked to a development project, let's say?
Well, in this case, I cheated a bit because I created the task first in my project, which linked it directly to the project. Otherwise, you would have to link it to the sales order item
Okay.
that is linked to the project.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Is it possible to link specific products from a specific purchase order to a project through the analytic account?
So only some specific projects.
Yeah, products.
I would say yes, but
for-
without going to detail now, maybe you can come and see us at the service expertise booth afterwards, which is in hall 7, I think.
Okay. The tracking of the recorded timesheet view in the offer is new. Is that correct? They were wondering.
In the offer, no, I think it was already there, at least in 17.
Okay.
I don't know if it wasn't before.
Okay. Easy question. Can you allocate time in days instead of hours?
Yes, sure.
Just in the backend settings, quite easy to do so.
Exactly.
Can a manufacturing order related bill be connected to the same project? So will the cost be? I think it needs to be calculated twice. Is it the question?
Maybe let's see with the manufacturing experts after
Perfect.
the call.
Thank you so much for your questions.
Thank you, everyone. See you.